Did it! Yeah, just about kept sanity most of the time, and money's coming in through music, which is great. So I just wanted to talk about been a year in and some of the things that I've learned. I want to try and keep this as much to specific tangible things and then things you can kind of go away and look at to either sort of like do a research on. Some things might riff on kind of how to deal with how you feel about particular things, which I'm trying to come get to grips with myself, but I want to try and cover quite a bit, so let's get into it. So the first thing about thinking about doing music full time is you are a media company and getting to grips with that. So what's helped me a lot? Because I was starting from ground zero, as in taking a picture. What's autofocus? I was starting from that point. So first, with doing video, the YouTube channel Primal Audio, absolutely brilliant. Primal Video, sorry, absolutely brilliant. Taught me through how to make video on my phone, well, webcam, DSLR, lighting, all of that. So they got really good how-to tips. I'd look at that. The editing side, I use KineMaster because my laptop's on its last leg, so actually certain things are easier to do on my phone than my laptop. So I do the large majority of my video editing on my phone. So that's what I use for that. Captions, I use this app called Subcap. I just really love the interface, so it's great. Thumbnails, I use something called Pixel Lab. There's a free version. You'll get ads coming up. I was getting irritated by that, so I forked out the big investment of about £4 to actually use it. Again, just all on your phone, so it's on the move. I found that really helpful. And then a couple of extra points in that. I'm on a budget, still am, so I needed to get some cheap lighting, which is good. I've got a remote and I can adjust things. The downside of it being cheaper is that the fan is louder and it picks up on the recording. So musicians out there, you need to invest in some noise reduction plugin of some sort. I've got one discounted through Plugin Boutique, Isotope, the RX a audio editor. So that's what I got. There are other alternatives, but do that in your post-production editing. And then just through the podcast side of things, there's lots of podcast distributors, but I personally use Anchor. So that's what I use, but there's a number of options. Anchor's good because you can do it all for your phone. You can even record the episode directly into your phone as well. So it gives you that option. So that's the first thing. Accept and embrace and learn all the things because you are a media company. So that's the first point. The second point, going through my notes here, is notes in this one, so I'm not messing about. The second one is time management. You know, I've come across it in my old work life, apps like Slack and things of blocking out what you're doing to keep you on task. And that works well. That works well. That's absolutely fine. I've just been keeping it a lot simpler of using other things. So I've just been using a Google Sheet spreadsheet as a to-do list with two tabs. Because one thing I found is just to dump down everything that I want to do or need to do is in one tab, is in a to-do list, an ongoing to-do list. But then based on my working patterns I've talked about before of, life as a working parent and juggling in between kind of nap times and things like that, I have particular pockets of the day which I can do work on my business. So I look at my first tab of all of the long things that I've got to do, the long to-do list, and then I actually put it into my own kind of little diary of, okay, so I've got this time in between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. I'm going to do that task or that task. So I just think planning of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it helps so you can make the most of your time. So that's something that I personally do. And I suppose more of a kind of to reflect on is that you're probably not going to be able to do as much as you like. I've got something in my mind of all the things that I want to do. It's got lots of strands of what I want to do. But practically, I can't do it yet because what I need to do requires other people. So it's just accepting that and working with the time that you've got. But back to practicality of content's important. It's a way of life, not just for putting yourself out there, but I think specifically helps for yourself of clarifying your own thoughts, building trust with people as well. So I'd say for me, it's worked well to batch create my content. So as opposed to each day creating content, like today's a Thursday, I'm going to be creating all of my content, then edit it and schedule it for the following week. I'm at a stage where I don't like to batch create too far in advance because I'm still experimenting with formats, but batch creating does help it feel more manageable for me. So that's the time management side. Money. Let's talk money for a moment. A book which I think people really need to read by Blair Enns is called Pricing Creativity. I mean, he became well known with the book, the Win Without Pitching Manifesto. I found that after I bought this book, there were two particular concepts in total, two particular concepts which really stuck with me. There's lots of gems, but two leap out of my head straight away. One is around pricing, around hourly rate, day rate, value pricing, and the whole idea of hourly rate. I think I'll just leave this here, as I think any musician will relate to this around hourly rate. In that, the better you get at something, the quicker that you can do it. So hourly rate actually penalizes you for being good. That's what that book reinforced for me. And price anchoring as well. Value's interesting. Value is subjective. This thing cost, this plectrum cost a matter of pence. But sometimes people can only judge value to what's relative and to comparison. So price anchoring in that, creating a few options, a high option, so people can kind of put in perspective. Okay, if that high option costs that amount, then this costs this. So those two things came into play, especially with my sample packs. So with money, Blair Ends, you definitely need to look into that, and it's helped me a lot as well. In terms of vision and thinking about stuff, I categorize it in my mind of this and that. I suppose when I'm in conversations with people, oh yeah, Paul, what are you doing for work? How are you going? And I tell people, well, I'm doing music full time, and they go, oh right, that kind of look and eyebrow raise, which is interesting, and I think that's another conversation for another day. But I like to categorize it into two things. In that, my freelancer for hires in, I'm good at these things. Pay me to do this for you. So freelance for hire, or you're building a product or a service to serve sort of like people. So you're sort of like a self-contained company that's got an idea and a specific way of providing value to people that you sell, or maybe a combination of both. So I'm interested in doing a combination of both, but I'm probably leaning more towards creating a product, which I'm what I'm focusing on, the sample packs of having products and maybe even services that I package to sell. I'm more interested in developing my own thing and then picking up freelance things that I really want or what I'm interested in. So I'm really interested in that balance. But I'd say for people starting out, I was looking at lots of things when I first started. I was looking at music licensing, from sort of like micro licensing from things like, from Shuttershock and Pond5 and Audio Jungle, to even looking at a whole kind of sync sort of like route of, going on the MCPS part of PRS and looking at companies working with films and videos. So I was looking at music licensing. I was looking at sort of doing making music for hire. I was looking at a range of things, looking at doing videos at some point, but working with a videographer. But then time dictated what I could and couldn't do. And then also things that I liked the idea of and things I enjoyed and things I didn't. It's sustainable to really focus on what you enjoy and to drop what you don't. Because doing it from the beginning and building ground up is hard. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to work as hard at it. You're not going to be as good at it. You're not going to be able to compete. You're going to find it difficult to get money. As opposed to if you really focus on what you enjoy, at least you enjoy the process, and you're going to work hard on it to become better at it. So then people seek you out, which I've been really surprised. People have sought me out from places I didn't expect at such an early stage, which I'm really grateful for, because I did not expect that at all. So there's that, the whole freelance versus building something model and trying different things. And then niching, actually picking what you specialize in. This is something I had a bigger problem with than I actually thought I would. And then I came across this consultant called David C. Baker, him talking about expertise, and I basically just felt called out basically around the whole idea of we will specialize and the benefits of that, of skill wise and also money wise, the benefits of specializing. So I'd highly recommend the book of The Business of Expertise. Absolutely phenomenal. The blogs that he writes as well are game changing. I'm taking direct inspiration from that. So definitely look into that. and just the practicalities of keeping going. So yes, the savings, I had some savings, saving as much as I could, as much as I could. Unfortunately, quite a bit of those savings were depleted when I got fired from the musical theatre gig, which I talked about in episode 3. But we kept moving. So just to read the practicalities of that is use your skills to get short-term money. I'm in a fortunate situation of I've built a couple of decades of having a career, and with that I've been able to do high value work, so work which pays well and not taking up too much of my time. So I'm in that fortunate situation. But some of yourselves, maybe you have that, or maybe you don't. And if you don't, use other parts of your skill set. If we're talking music, maybe you do session work or mixing and mastering or consulting or marketing if you're really good at that. Use your skills to get short-term money just to kind of be able to keep going. So that's really important. Another point is building connections with supporters, in that I'm using MailChimp to build a mailing list because I want to take that approach just to kind of have that connectivity with people and to build relationships with people, so they can support what I do. And with that, you can have MailChimp for free, but for what I want of having different customer journeys and customized links, I have the paid version. MailChimp is one version, there's other versions. Just look at different email subscription types, maybe experiment with SMS marketing as well, and just kind of see what best suits you. And a couple more things. Platforms. For me, I think there's having your own platform, there's kind of connecting tools, which are platforms, and then there's marketplace platforms. So I have my own platforms. I'm building my brand called Shakeworks around bass, around Climbing for bass there, and sample packs. So that's through my Shopify store. Shopify, well known. You look into that, lots of things of how to tweak that. It's worth looking into that. An alternative is Google Sites. I think you got to question the amount of money spent on making a website which will work for you. I did a temporary one before I had the Shopify page through Google Sites. You can build something for free, and the only thing that you're paying for is your domain name. Is there a learning curve? Yes. Is it a bit technical? Not as much as what you thought it would be, not as much as what you would assume. But it's worth learning to get into that, because it can save you a lot of money, plus you can configure it. In terms of connecting things, I use a Linktree. I use the paid versions. I like the analytics to see where people are coming from. So I use that on particular platforms. So there's that. And then there's the marketplace ones. Fiverr I've been on from the beginning. I was doing session playing for quite cheap, and then I got better. I got more orders, so I raised my price to something which I'm a bit more comfortable with. So that's great because people are actively looking for it, and then you're just learning how to make yourself desirable and interested on the platform. Air gigs is another one. I've only had one bit of work through there. Fiverr, I've got quite a bit through. And then what I'm relatively new to, as in like a week, is in BeatStars, as in I'm getting into the game of making beats and leasing beats. And of course, there's a marketplace option, but then I've also got the pro page, which I'm looking to tweak as well. So there's that. And then the last point really is partnerships, in that to helping grow your network and develop your skills. I suppose this is specifically from a UK perspective, in that, arts organisations through the website, we're all kind of scanning through good old artsjobs.org.uk, finding organisations that are looking for commissions and artists call out. So there's that. And one which helped me a lot with a great organization called Brighter Sound. I did a sample flip challenge, which is there's some episodes which are on my channel which is worth looking at, and that was great because I built a relationship with them, and then it was really, really fun. And I'm thinking of some other ideas that maybe I could work together with them on, because I think they're really great. So there's things you can apply for, but then maybe you could also approach arts organisations of, maybe could we do this together? And then you do a joint funding bid and look for ways you can apply for funding. What I like to call writing essays for money, which basically what writing funding bids is. So that's one way of doing it. Of joining forces, of having an idea and partnering up with people. And all that being said, that's the year gone. We'll see what happens next year. Grey hairs haven't improved, but one thing which has kind of not been too good actually is my physical health. I'm not, I'm probably in the worst physical health I ever have been. Um, and definitely need to get some exercise and work on getting some better sleep. So I suppose within all of that, it's tough, it's fun, but look after yourself because there ain't no sick pay, is there? And if you're not in a good shape, it's going to slow down what you do because it's only on you. And that's something which I suppose I'm saying more to myself is it's something that I need to do more of. So that's a year on. I'll always remember when it's my self-employed anniversary because it's the same date as my daughter's birthday. So it'll always be a an easy date for me to remember. And yeah, I'll be back again. And hopefully you found this useful. And then of course I'll be doing it next year and then see what I come up with next week of what I'm up to. So thanks for listening and I'll be back again soon. Take care.